let's talk about one of the most important moments in movie history, the moment the camera decided to get up and move. Now, it seems totally obvious to us today, right? But this one idea, this single shift, completely reinvented how we tell stories on screen.
Can you even imagine this? For the first 2 decades of film, the camera was basically a prisoner. It was stuck in one spot, creating this invisible wall between us and the action. If an actor walked out of the frame, well, they were just gone. The camera didn't follow. It just sat there and waited.
So let's dive into that idea, the camera in a cage. Why was it so locked down? Well, the answer comes down to the pretty intense physical and technical problems those early filmmakers were up against.
Yeah, you gotta remember, early cameras weren't sleek and portable. They were absolute industrial beasts. We're talking massive, heavy machines, sometimes literally bolted to the floor just to keep them steady. And you operated them with this clumsy hand crank. So filmmaking wasn't really about capturing an emotion. It was about recording a scene almost like you were sitting in the front row watching a play. Okay, but then a group of German expressionist filmmakers came along with this totally radical new idea. They started asking, wait a minute, what if the camera wasn't just an observer? What if it could actually be a participant in the story?
And they gave it this amazing name, the Entfesselte Kamera, which literally means the unchained camera. Now, this wasn't just some technical trick. It was a whole new way of thinking, pioneered by director F.W. Murnau and his incredible cinematographer Carl Friend. The idea was that the camera's movement should show you what's going on inside a character's head. It shouldn't just watch the story, it should feel the story.
And this slide just lays it out so perfectly. On the left, you've got the old way, the camera as this detached spectator, just watching from afar. But on the right, you see the game-changing idea, the camera as an active participant, right there in the middle of it all, feeling the dizziness, the joy, the panic, right along with the characters.
So how did they actually do it? How did they forge this new language? Well, this wasn't born in some high-tech lab. No, it was created on set with pure grit, a ton of ingenuity, and some surprisingly creative do-it-yourself engineering.
Now, D.W. Griffith kind of hinted at the potential way back in 1916 with a giant crane shot, but the revolution really truly kicked off in Germany in 1924 with a film called The Last Laugh. And from there, as you can see, the idea just exploded. All of a sudden, filmmakers were strapping cameras to trapezes, to horses, anything they could think of to get these unbelievable news shots.
And this quote just gets right to the heart of it. This guy, Carl Freund, he wasn't sitting around waiting for someone to invent new technology. He was a tinkerer, a problem solver. He strapped a camera to his chest while riding a bike. He put one on a fire engine ladder. He built his own gear to get shots that nobody had ever seen before. What's so fascinating here is how you can draw a direct line from the technique to the feeling it creates. So in the film Variety, putting the camera on a trapeze wasn't just a cool shot. It was designed to give the audience literal vertigo. Or in Napoleon, strapping a camera to a horse didn't just show you a battle. It plunged you right into the raw, chaotic energy of it all, a trick that action movies still use to this day. All right, so let's zero in on that first film from the chart, The Last Laugh. You could honestly call this movie patient zero for this whole new language of cinema. Its visual storytelling was so powerful, so emotionally clear, that the entire film was told with just one single intertitle. The camera movement did all the talking. I mean, the opening of The Last Laugh must have just been a total shock to audiences in 1924. The camera doesn't just watch from the street. No, it glides right through the hotel's revolving doors. It sweeps across the busy lobby, and it follows the main character right into his world. For the first time, people in the audience felt like they were actually in the movie. And later, when the character gets drunk, the camera physically sways and blurs, making you feel his disorientation, a technique that will become a staple of horror and thriller movies. So, the really crucial takeaway here is that these gritty, hands-on experiments from almost 100 years ago, they're not just some dusty footnotes in a history book. They are the absolute DNA of the movies we watch today. So, what is the legacy of the Unchained Camera? I mean, how do you connect a camera strapped to a bicycle in 1924 to the blockbusters that come out this weekend? Well, the line between them is actually more direct than you might think. This slide just lays out that family tree perfectly. Step 1, you have the Unchained Camera in the 20s inventing the basic language. Then step 2 is the Steadicam in the 70s, which refined that language, giving it this incredibly fluid, stable feel. And today, step 3 is the modern drone, which has pretty much achieved total freedom, letting the camera fly almost anywhere. Every single soaring drone shot or intimate Steadicam moment owes its existence to those early pioneers.
And in the end, that's the real legacy, isn't it? Murnau, Frond, and all their contemporaries, they transformed the camera from a simple piece of glass into a subjective human eye. They proved that the camera didn't have to be, like this quote says, just a seat in the stalls. It could be right there in the middle of it all, a participant in the circle, not just seeing everything, but more importantly, feeling everything.